since you have no place.
I'm going to have no place to go, so I can come over.
Come on over.
And life is so amazing if we can see it.
With Dr. Marissa. Jump off that exhausting hamster wheel and into balanced living with Dr. Marissa.
Promise you joy in the mystery.
Dr. Marissa, also known as the Asian Oprah. Her mission, to be a beneficial presence on the planet. Her purpose, to be your personal advocate to live, laugh, love, learn. Her life motto, don't die wondering. Take back your life with Dr. Marissa Payne.
With Dr. Marissa, the morning. And welcome. You're tuned into Take My Advice. I'm not using it. Get Balance with Dr. Marissa, the morning show here on KCAA, NBC News, CNBC News, NBC Sports Radio Station, AM 750, FM 106.5, and streaming everywhere. iHeartRadio, Spotify, Stitcher, iTunes, TuneIn, Audible, Amazon Music, Tiki Live, Rumble, Podchaser, Spreaker, and more. Why so many places? Because I want to splatter and maximize that splatter for more hope and happiness, balancing out all of the bad news that's so readily available for you everywhere you turn, with some good news and good topics and good people. If you missed any of my 1,139 podcast shows, but who's counting over the last 622 consecutive weeks, please go to my YouTube TV channel where you can actually watch and listen. If you're in the car, please don't watch and listen and type in the chat. I want to welcome my captain of my love stream, Sci-Fi Mombi is there to greet you. And when you get settled and switch off the AM, FM, just come to my YouTube TV channel, please subscribe, and then you'll get to chat with me and my new co-host who is here, and she's streaming in from Colorado, I believe. And we're just going to give her a nice warm welcome before I introduce her formula. And let me get this right because there's hello, Ms. Angel Menchan. She is, and let me get this right because there's a lot to talk about. We're going to talk about how she found me and how this all happened. But I do want to give you just a brief, great thing about her, and I don't know why that is not there anymore. So I'm going to go to my details here because she is a force to be reckoned with. Obviously, I am. Let's see. Things that are not exactly. Obviously, I prayed for patience because I'm getting things that are not exactly how I planned them today, but it's all good. And I'm waiting for this because this is like pretty cool. She's a mover and a shaker. Has more energy than I do, which is saying quite a bit. She's contacted me out of the blue. We're going to go through that story. But
do you want me to
yeah, that would be great. Good stuff.
do you want me just to quickly run down?
Yeah, that would be great because it's a lot of good stuff. And she has a lot in her resume. So go ahead, you read it.
Again, I want to thank Dr. Marissa, Asian Oprah, for this platform, this incredible opportunity to be amongst the best people on earth to make the earth a better place. I was so fortunate in my past. I'm Hong Kong Chinese born. I was blessed to come to Beverly Hills, Los Angeles when I was in kindergarten. Was able to work with some of the best people and talent in graphic design, graphic arts, then was able to transition that into Columbia Engineering School, computer science degree, and then have the fortunate experience of being a Goldman Sachs financier and having them benefit me to go to an NYU, and then NYU benefit me to go to Chinese U. I'm a 35-year veteran banker. I've worked in the top 10 banks in the world, my family, 5 licenses, 2 countries, people who speak 3 languages. I've all that because of my parents, my family, my support, people who are role models like Dr. Marissa, I value. Thank you. And have seen a lot of good that she's done. So just honored to be on this platform.
She's an ambassador
Thank you.
and the CFO. And she is very humble. She has she's the co-founder. Sorry, she's an ambassador and the CFO of We Are Angels Charity. She's also an ambassador at the Make-A-Wish Foundation. She's also the CFO journalist and photojournalist of Hollywood Press Corps. So with that more official welcome, please really welcome her to the studio. For those of you who've been with me for a while, you may be wondering why we have a new co-host on Friday. And for those of you who've been with me for a while, you may be wondering why we have a new co-host on Friday. And I just want to say that y'all know how much y'all love Alon Carter, and we all know as well that she's been just a magnificent help to her mama, who's also my mama because she's part of my family. Alon is the daughter of the founder and still touring Otis Williams of the Temptations. And her mom is not, she's temporarily going through some illness that she's on hiatus. Just know and pray that she's going to recover. And so she's on hiatus. She will be coming back. She'll be coming back on Tuesdays. We will continue Tempting Conversation series. But when Angel had asked about being a co-host, and we had talked about doing a show together, this was the day that we could fit sponsors in. And I talked to Alon, and she's kind of relieved because she felt bad about not being able to confirm whether she was going to co-host with me on Fridays, depending on what was going on with her mom. So I just want to take a minute, acknowledge how amazing my Tempting Conversations co-host Alon Carter is, taking a deep breath in our in through the nose, and then releasing a prayer of healing and power and wisdom to Goldie's doctors, that they are able to, you know, really have the wisdom so that she will be healed very soon and feeling much, much better. And God bless Alon for doing the work that she's doing with her mom. So we just want to send that out and appreciation for all that Alon has done for Tempting Conversations. I wanted to make sure that I showed appreciation for all that Alon has done for Tempting Conversations for a little over a year. And now we are going to do, and I didn't tell you about this, but I'm sure you already know. I never warn my guests and co-hosts just to see what their reaction is, but I'm sure you already know that I start every show with breakfast. And we take a bite of my gratitude sandwich. And the top of the bun is things that we are grateful for. So what are we grateful for that is outside of us? And then at the bottom of the bun is what do we appreciate or are grateful for that is inside of us, in an effort to give you some weightlifting on self-approval, self-soothing, self-love, which I believe are the foundation to good mental health. And that's why we begin. So I will start. I am grateful that the sun is out. We had some helpful rain again. It's like the wackiest weather this year. And it just kills me when people say climate change. There's no climate change. So I am grateful because I'm solar powered that I live in sunny California. So Angel, what are you grateful for?
I'm extremely grateful that I am a single mom of three lovely, healthy boys. It is something that is personally, I believe, something that's personal to me because I lost my daughter, and that's why I work with Make-A-Wish. That's something I had to learn personally. I believe health also recently always experienced tragedy in my family, but that's something I had to learn personally. we've also recently experienced tragedy in my family, but we've been able to work with that with my nephew passing at 21 last year. So being alive, being grateful, being healthy, being in a good place in my life, having the family and friends and support that I need, and surrounding my people with the people that I love and the tribe that, because it takes a village to make your life successful.
Beautiful.
And whatever
I'm
you
sorry
get up the
for,
mountain, pull the people behind you because
the
they need help
absence
too.
of the physical. Beautiful. And I'm sorry for the absence of the physical for your nephew and your daughter. And I also know that they're loving you and loving all of us from where they are in a way that is so strong.
Let's see.
Just, I
Sci-Fi
know
Mommy,
that,
do you have any
both of them
gratitudes
are
that
loving
you
you
want to
now
throw
here.
in there
Thank
in
you.
the
So,
chat?
let's see. Sci-Fi Mommy, do you have any gratitudes that you want to throw in there in the chat? Sam, sound engineer in the back, any gratitudes there? I will be grateful for we're going to the NAB convention in Vegas next weekend. Thanks to my new co-host on Fridays. I'm grateful that I get to experience new things, and it's you can explain it a little bit later in the show as we discuss and share with you the vision for this particular series.
What else?
But I'm grateful that I constantly get to try new things, which is one of my favorite things to do. What else are you grateful for?
My oldest son is in college, and my one thing that I've been very fortunate to have now that my oldest son is in college and my younger two sons are very independent is that I am able to get my freedom back as well as being a person before having children and now a working mom and now just working. So I am extremely happy that I have a platform because I think everyone has a story to tell. Anyone between a single father working up to people who have been on your show, obviously with enormous accolades and notoriety as famous and successful. And I think everyone has their own success story and their own failure story, as long as they're persistent and resilient to get through the marathon line.
Yeah,
that
great. I'm going to end the top of the bun with I'm grateful
that we have a whole
that
day to love,
the planets
laugh,
didn't crash
learn,
into each other
hug,
last
respect,
night.
Yes.
And that we have a
all
whole
of that
new
kind of
day
wonderful stuff
to
that,
love,
we get to do
love,
because
laugh,
we're
learn,
alive.
hug, respect,
Now we're going to
innovate,
go to the
create,
bottom of the bun, which
all
is
of that kind of
what
wonderful
do you like
stuff
about
that
yourself?
we get to
And,
do because we're
Angel and I
alive.
talked about
Now
the
we're going to go to the
common
bottom of the bun,
Asian
which is
woman,
what do you like
not
about yourself?
stereotype
And
necessarily, but the
Angel
real
and I have talked
upbringing
about,
that,
the common
we are
Asian
a
woman,
culture that says do
not
not
stereotype
toot your own
necessarily,
horn.
but the
Do
real
not
upbringing
make
that
yourself conspicuous.
we
Do
are
not
a culture that
speak
says
out
do
loud.
not
And the both of
toot
us
your
have
own horn.
failed,
Do not make
very
yourself
well at
conspicuous.
that.
Do not
And so,
speak out
and I know
loud.
that,
And the both of us have
the culture
failed
means well, but sometimes
very
it's
well
more
at
mean
that.
than well.
And so,
And that,
and I
Asian
know
women do
that
have a voice.
the
It is
culture
of
means
value.
well.
And
Sometimes it's more
so one
mean
of the
than
things
well.
that,
And
I appreciate about
that
myself
Asian
is,
women do have a voice.
shedding
It is
that
of value.
cultural,
And so
if the
one
nail
of the things
stands
that
up, it's
I
hammered
appreciate
down.
about myself
Have you
is
heard that saying before?
shedding
The
that
nail that stands up is
cultural,
hammered down.
if
That's
the
a
nail stands
Chinese
up,
and
it's
Japanese
hammered
saying.
down.
I know
Have
you've
you heard
never
that saying
followed that.
before? The nail
Thank
that
you.
stands up is hammered
Maybe.
down. That's a Chinese
You
and
know, I
Japanese
have to
saying.
say
I know
right
you've
now,
never
I
followed
thought
that.
I was
Thank you.
shy.
Maybe.
Sarcasm is another service I offer.
You know, I have to
But
say right now,
my
I
co-host
thought
here
I
just
was
is a whole
shy.
nother
Sarcasm
level
is another
of,
service I offer.
Shy.
But
work ethic.
my co-host here
and
just is a
driving
whole
and-
nother
and,
level
I
of
remember
Shy.
Phyllis and
ethic
Voice Soberinos, if you're listening,
and
who's
driving
a,
and
HR
like
diversity
I remember County of
Howard
Los
Phillips
Angeles
and
when we put
Joyce
together that
Labrinos,
program
if
for
you're
80,000
listening, he
people
was a
to value diversity. And he
HR
said to me,
diversity
you know,
at the County
you
of
do the
Los
work of
Angeles when
three
we put
people.
together that program
True.
for
So
80,000
you
people
should
to value
charge
diversity.
3 times.
And
I
he
loved
said to
him
me,
say
you
that.
know,
But I
you
have
do the
met my
work
match.
of three
This
people.
woman, my
True.
co-host,
So
does
you
work,
should
I'm gonna not
charge
double
3 times.
it, but
I
I'll
loved
say
him for saying
5.
that. But
Yeah.
I
She
have
does
met
the
my
work of
match.
5.
No.
This
And
woman, my
it's like,
co-host, does
I'm
work.
just like,
I'm
is
gonna
she
not
sleep?
double it, but I'll
No,
say
and people
5.
ask me, do you
She
sleep?
does the work
But
of 5,
anyway,
and it's
I
like
bow
I'm just
to
like, does
my
she
co-host
sleep?
here on.
No,
She
people
is a
ask me, do
much
you sleep?
heftier
But
workhorse than I am.
anyways, so
And,
I
I told her
bow
this
to
morning
my
that she
co-host
was
here
a
on. She is a
Tasmanian
much
angel.
heftier
Because I
workhorse
used
than
to
I
be
am.
called the
And I
Tasmanian
told her this
devil
morning
myself
that she
by
was
the
a
VP at
Tasmanian
Nestle.
angel
Because of
because
my
I
energy.
used to be called the
But what did you say
Tasmanian
this
devil
morning?
myself
Yeah.
by the
In
VP
Beverly
at
Hills High
Nestle
School, class That's of amazing.
because of my
1987 was
energy.
actually
But
our
what did
mascot,
you say this
which is
morning?
my high school, which is amazing
in
because I
Beverly
did
Hills
the
High School
majority
class
of
of
the graphics
1987.
for
It
the
was
school
actually
in
our
terms of
mascot,
mural,
which is my
the
high school,
prom
which is
invitation, which
amazing
I
because I
won.
did the majority of the
I
graphics
actually
for the
was
school
very
in terms of
fortunate. I had
mural,
great mentors
the prom
throughout my
invitation,
life,
which I won.
artisans
The,
from
you know, I
people
actually
who are
was
just
very fortunate.
amazing,
I
who
had
were Academy
great
Award
mentors
winners,
throughout my
Oscar
life.
winners,
Artisans
Grammy winners,
from
you know,
people
just
who are just
unbelievable
amazing, who were Academy Award
achievements.
winners, Oscar
And
winners,
following the best people,
Grammy
you become
winners, you know,
better,
just
obviously.
unbelievable
Same with banking, same with
achievements.
engineering.
And
And
following
now
the
I get to
best
be with
people,
you,
you
so I'm
become
very
better,
grateful.
obviously. Same with banking,
So you
same with
appreciate
engineering.
that you
And
have
now
an
I get to be with
openness to
you, so I'm very
learn.
grateful about
You know,
that.
that is, you can have great mentors, but
So
if your
you
cup is
appreciate
turned
that
down,
you
no
have
one
an
will pour into
openness to
you.
learn.
Thank
So
you.
that
You
is,
know, that is, you
you
can
can
have great
appreciate
mentors,
yourself
but
on
if your
that one,
cup is
that you
turned
were
down, no one
open
can
to
pour into you.
receiving, which is
Thank
So
you.
that is,
important.
you can
I
appreciate yourself on
appreciate
that
my
one,
ability
that
to
you were
just
open to receiving, which
be
is so
inspired
important.
to speak. I mean,
I
anytime I
appreciate
don't
my
feel good,
ability to
I
just
just open my mouth and talk about what I do,
be
and I feel
inspired
better.
to speak.
So
I
I
mean, anytime I
appreciate
don't feel good,
that I
I
am
just open my
not
mouth and talk
afraid
about what I do,
to
and I
speak
feel better.
about
So I
happy
appreciate
aviation,
that
and
I
you know,
am
in
not
the next year, 8
afraid
years, and
to
my
speak
Kool-Aid, which
about
I
happy
you
aviation,
know, if you
88
feel that
million
they
more
will
happy
come,
people in the next year, 8 years,
I am
and
so
my Kool-Aid,
appreciative
which
of
I,
that message.
you know, if you
that
build
has
it, they
been
will come.
consistent
Yeah,
for the last
I am
many
so
years, but I'm
appreciative
hashtag
of
ageless.
that message
So
that has
one
been
last thing that you
consistent for the
appreciate about yourself,
last
Angel?
many years, but I'm
I've just
hashtag
been
ageless.
very fortunate to
So
connect with
one last thing that you
smart,
appreciate about yourself,
intelligent-driven
Angel?
people. And
I've just been
follow them
very
because,
fortunate to
you
connect
know,
with
if you follow greatness, you should
smart,
end up there
intelligent,
as
driven
well.
people. And I
Finding the
follow them
end
because,
game
you know, if you
is
follow greatness, you should
where
end
I
up there
was
as
able
well.
to achieve my goals.
Finding
So I was
the
given very good
end
advice
game
by a
is
mentor at
where
Goldman's
I
Sachs.
was able
Make a
to
list of 3
achieve
things,
my
complete
goals.
them,
So
keep
I was given
completing
very
them
good
until your
advice
list is
by
done.
a
And
mentor
even
at
if you
Goldman Sachs.
fail,
Make a
keep
list
the
of 3
list
things, complete
because
them,
I've
keep
gone through
completing them
horrible
until your list
failures.
is done.
Um,
And even if you
just
fail, you keep
unspeakable
the
in
list
terms of what a
because
person can
I've
go
gone
through.
through horrible
And
failures.
now I'm come out
Just
the other side,
unspeakable in
obviously
terms of what
post-COVID as
a
well.
person can go
So I
through.
feel like the
And
resilient part, if you fail, just
now
get
I'm
up
come
and
out
walk
the other
again.
side, obviously
It's
post-COVID as
hard to get
well.
up, but you
So I
have
feel
to
like
get up.
the resilient
Yeah,
part, if you
yeah,
fail, just get up
absolutely.
and walk again
And that's it for
because
breakfast
it's
with
hard to
Dr.
get up,
Marissa.
but you
And
have to get up.
yeah,
You
yeah,
get to say your name.
absolutely.
There you go.
And
That's it for breakfast with Dr. Marissa.
thanks for joining
And
us. I promise that if you
you get to say your
do
name.
this
There
daily
you
good
go.
habit, good life habit, hashtag
Thanks for
discipline,
joining us. I
28
promise that if
consecutive
you
days to make a good new
do
habit,
this
I
daily good
promise that you
habit,
will
good life
sandwich your
habit,
day
hashtag
in the
discipline,
most
28
positive way.
consecutive days to make a good new habit, I promise that you will sandwich your day in the
Thank you.
most positive way.
And somewhere along there, someone gave us the finger.
which is not that finger, but this finger. We do appreciate. When
And
you
somewhere
are
along there,
engaged,
someone gave
and
us the
if you're-
finger,
if you have
which
a
is
comment
not
or a
that finger, but
question
this
about
finger. We
anything,
do
please put
appreciate
it in
when
the
you
chat,
are
unless you're driving,
engaged, and
because
if you have a comment or a
KCAA,
question
NBC
about
News Radio,
anything,
home
please
to the
do put
Asian
it in the
Oprah,
chat,
AM
unless you're
1050,
driving,
FM
because
106.5,
and
and streaming
KCAA,
everywhere.
NBC News Radio, home to the Asian Oprah, AM 1050, FM 106.5, and streaming everywhere. iHeartRadio, Spotify, and my YouTube TV channel, where if you free subscribe, you will get an alert every weekday morning to join us on the morning show. Now, without further ado,
with Dr. Marissa,
this is the
Ms. Angel
weekly
Chan, thank you.
review with Dr. Marissa and
Ms. Angel Chan, thank you.
what this show is going to be about. I'm going to throw that to my co-host.
So just to
And
tell, just to
also
describe
give you a little context
what
that
this show is
the
going to be
official
about, I'm
launch
going to
is
throw
gonna
that
be
to my
the
co-host,
first
and
Friday
also
of
give you a little
May
context
to
that
coincide
the official
with
launch
my
is going to be
12th
the first
year
Friday of
on
May
air,
to
on
coincide with
which
my
is just
12th
getting chills.
year
Started
on
May 1st,
air on camera, which is just I'm getting chills.
Thank you.
Started May 1st, 2012. So
Congratulations.
Context
thank you. And
I don't think I've
honestly,
told you this story. How
I will
even started
share,
on
since
radio, because one of the
we're going to
comments
give
that,
context here. I don't think I've told you this
Angel,
story,
said
how
when
I
she
even started
first
on
found
radio,
me was,
because
"I
one of
don't
the comments that
understand why you're not on TV,
Angel
or why
said
you
when
don't have your
she
own TV
first
show."
found me
And-
was,
and
I don't
my-
understand
I
why
never
you're
even
not on
thought I was
TV,
gonna
or
be
why
doing
you
media.
don't have your own TV
Wow.
show.
Just to let
And
you know,
my
that little path,
I never
and we're
even
gonna just
thought I
build
was
this
going to be
history
doing
up
media.
as the soft
Wow.
open
Just to let you
today,
know,
and I wanted
that
to
little
let you
path,
get
and we're
to
going to
know
just
my
build this
co-host.
history up
And you've already
as
heard
the soft
some
open
personal stuff that
today,
she's
and
gone
I
through.
wanted
So
to
she's a
let
great
y'all get
example
to know my
of
co-host.
what I
And
like
you've already
to,
heard some
highlight
personal
on the
stuff that
show,
she's
which
gone
is you're
through.
not
So she's a
defined by
great
the pain,
example
you're defined
of
by the power
what
that
I
you
like
are after you
to
go through the
highlight
pain.
on the show,
So
which
she
is you're not
certainly,
defined by your
follows
pain,
that,
you're
and is
defined
one of
by
the
the
reasons
power
why
that you
I'm,
are
happy
after
to
you
have
go
her as
through
a
the
co-host
pain.
on Fridays.
So she
So,
certainly
what happened
follows
was,
that, and
Angel,
is the
you
reason why
know,
I'm
I
happy to
was a
have her as a
professor
co-host on
for 10
Fridays.
years. So I
So
started teaching
what
at Boston
happened
University
was,
in
Angel,
Brussels.
you
And
know,
came and
I was a
taught for
professor
6 years at
for 10
UCLA
years. So
in the
I
Anderson
started teaching at
School.
Boston University
And
in
in
Brussels,
one of my classes,
and
I think it
came
was
and taught for 6 years at
managerial
UCLA in the
interpersonal
Anderson
class.
School.
One of my
And
students came
in
up
one
to
of my
me
classes, I
after
think it was
maybe
the
5 weeks
managerial
and said,
interpersonal
"Your
communication
talents
class.
are being
One of
wasted,
my students came
and
up to
you
me
should be
after
on
maybe
camera."
5
I'm like,
weeks and
"Really?"
said,
And
"Your
I'm
talents are
like,
being
"You're not trying
wasted,
to like butter me
and
up
you
for a
should
good
be
grade, are
on
you, or
camera."
something
And I'm
Yeah.
like,
that.
"Really?"
And he
And
says that my
I'm like,
dad
"You're
is
not
a
trying to like
producer,
butter me up for a
and,
good grade, are you?" Or something
Mama, I
like
love
that.
you.
And he says
Because
that
I
my
taught
dad
like
is a
Robin
producer,
Williams in
and
that,
I
whatever
think
that,
the camera will
movie
love
was. You'll
you.
know it better than
And
me.
because
Dead
I
Poets Society,
taught like
because
Robin
Absolutely.
Williams
very
in
animated,
that
I get up
Yeah.
on
whatever that
tables. Yeah.
movie
Captain, my
was, you'll know
captain.
it better than me.
Yes,
Dead Poets
yes,
Society, because
exactly.
Absolutely.
very
And,
animated. I get up
so
on
I said,
tables.
sure.
Yeah.
and
Captain,
next
my
thing you
captain.
know, I'm the
Yes,
expert
yes,
commentator
exactly.
on ABC,
And
Totally Out of
so
Control
I said,
People,
sure. And
Fox
next thing
busted
you
on the
know, I'm
job,
the expert commentator
Nostradamus, a
on
scientific inquiry, and
ABC,
I was,
Totally Out of Control
on
People,
that path.
Fox
And
busted
then
on
one
the
morning,
job,
about I would say like
Nostradamus, a
February
scientific
of
inquiry, and I
2012,
was,
I woke up
on
and
that
a
path.
voice
And then
at
one
4:30 in the
morning,
morning, and the
about I
voice
would say like
said,
February
radio.
of 2012, I woke up
And I'm like,
and a
radio.
voice at 4:30 in the
It's
morning, and the
4:30 in the
voice
morning.
said
Can we like talk
radio.
about this later?
Wow.
And
I'm
Wow.
like,
very
radio.
insistent. I'm
And I'm
told
like,
that I'm
it's
audio
4:30 in the
clarion,
morning.
which is
Can we like
hear,
talk about
the
this
voice
later?
of, and I'm not gonna say
And
God,
very
but I hear
insistent.
the voice
I'm
of
told that I'm
source, of
audio
love,
clarion, which is
whatever
I
that
hear,
energy is
the voice of,
outside
and
of
I'm not going to say
you. Some people
God,
call Jesus,
but I
some
hear
people
the
call
voice
Krishna.
of
I
source,
call it
of
my
love,
yes man,
whatever that
universal
energy
power
is
source of
outside
deliverance
of
every morning
you.
when
Some
I
people call
meditate.
Jesus, some people
So
call
the
Krishna.
voice was
I call it my UPS man, my universal power source who delivers every morning when I meditate. So the voice was very insistent and would not let me go until I got up, went to the computer, and I literally wrote for 44 minutes the name of the show, which some people think is very clever. Take my advice, I'm not using it. Thank you.
Absolutely clever.
As a psychologist. Two, the format of the show. Three, the business plan for the show. Four, the guests that I would have. And I've had every single guest that I've ever wanted, with one exception, which is the Dalai Lama. But I did get an email from him. He doesn't do radio, but he knows who I am. So I was so like, wow. I had no idea. They told me, because I said this was going to be a show that didn't talk about the news, that didn't talk about gossip, that didn't talk about scandal. And they said, it's never going to work. You might last a year. It's never going to work. And hello, coming up on 12 years. So that is how this show happened. And I was only on once a week. During COVID, at the beginning of COVID, the boss in Texas, Fred Lundgren, called me and said, the morning show host is retiring. Would you like to take it on? And I was only once a week for a long time.
Yeah, it's a lot.
And I'm like, yes.
A lot more than one show.
And without thinking through that, 5 shows is a lot more than one show a week. So took me a little adjustment. I almost quit after maybe 6 weeks. I was like sleep deprived. I was on at 8 in the morning, which I love that slot. We really did wonderful things. Got to 1.79. We're not as you know what that means.
Yes.
160,000 people listening every 15 minutes. And then the ratings at 9 were not as good. So they moved me to 9, which is better for you and a lot of my co-hosts to wake up a little bit later. So that is the story of how I got here. And co-hosting was my brainchild, to bring people on who wanted to have a show but weren't sure about doing their own show. And it's been a wonderful experience. Sam was my co-host of Straight Talk on Thursday. He's in the back of the studio now. He was a better co-host and sound engineer, if I'm going to say it. I got to put the moose on the table, but he was a great co-host for Straight Talk, and he's doing his thing with real estate. So now it's James Hawthorne, who I'm sure you enjoyed yesterday when we talked about prenups. So, and then the story of Angel. So I got a call. It seems like a year ago, but it was a week ago.
Yeah, amazing.
And did you hit me up on Insta or did you call?
Instagram.
You hit me up on Insta and said, would like to do a person of interest piece on you. For a magazine, and I am a photojournalist, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, first, I have to admit, I've been getting requests like that from people who want to charge me and pay for PR. I mean, this whole thing about charging motivational speakers on stage because we're giving you the opportunity to sell has really hurt my heart. I'm like, this is taking motivational speaking and self-development in such a wrong direction, if I can say that. And so I was suspicious when you first approached me. I'm like, I think I said, is there a cost? And you're like, absolutely not. You know. And so then we got on the phone, and it's been just a wonderful experience getting to know you. And then one thing led to another. Next thing I know, you're my co-host.
And we're going to NAM next weekend.
I went to NAM next weekend, and she has, it's funny because I don't use a vision board because I don't want to limit what is possible. Because I'm always going hashtag UP unlimited possibilities. So, but I had an intention. Coming up on a dozen years, what do I want to do with this show? And I set the intention and said, I would like this to go to the next level of both
but I also
audience,
go up, right?
both
Possibilities.
people. I've had incredible
I
guests,
do believe
but I
that,
also go
you know,
up, right?
YouTube
Unlimited
channel
possibilities,
certainly is
and
capturing the audio and visual.
yeah,
But
I
there
do
are, you know,
believe
people have
that
said
the
you
YouTube
should
TV
be
channel
on
certainly is
major network,
capturing
whatever
the
it is.
audio and
And
visual.
honestly,
But
I
there
don't
are, you know,
strive.
people
That's
have
one thing I'm very
said
proud about
you should
is
be
I don't
on
push.
major
I don't.
network,
I
whatever it
know
is. And
that
honestly,
everything's
I
already
don't strive.
in
That's one
play.
thing I'm very
I'm
proud
just having
about is
fun
I don't push.
discovering
I don't.
things,
I
right?
know
And I'm not going to
that
limit
everything's
my
already
UPS man
in
for
place.
delivering
I'm
whatever
just
he wants
having
to deliver.
fun
I
discovering
trust
what
that
it
the
is,
universe is
right?
always
And I'm not going to
conspiring
limit
for
my
me never
UPS
against me.
man for
But
delivering whatever he
it's
wants
been
to
so
deliver.
fun
I trust that the
to
universe is always conspiring
match with
for me,
this
never against
Tasmanian
me.
angel.
But it's been so fun
who
to
believes in me. You know, this is
match
what I
with this
have,
Tasmanian
I said I
angel
want someone to
who
understand and
believes
get what
in
I'm
me.
doing.
You know,
Yeah.
this
And
is
partner
what
with
I
me without
have,
charging me.
I've said.
You
I
know,
want
I've been
someone to
you know,
understand and
before by
get what
people
I'm
who tell
doing
me they're
and
going to
partner
help
with
me
me
for
without
free. And
charging me.
you know,
That's
then I have to
crazy.
hire a lawyer to get out of
You
a
know,
contract.
before by people who tell me they're going to help me for free, and then then I have to hire a lawyer to get out of a contract.
So I don't want to do
No.
that in business deal. So anyways,
No.
suffice it to
It's
say,
gonna kill me.
that
I did
my
that already
UPS
in the
man
divorce, so I don't want to do
Oh.
that in a
Ms.
business deal.
Angel.
So anyways,
who
suffice
is a
it to say that my UPS man delivered
is a sister
Ms.
Chinese
Angel Menchan,
born
who is
in
a fella,
America.
Born in Hong
not
Kong,
fellow,
raised in America.
is a sister
Okay.
Chinese
Yes.
woman born in America.
Yeah,
Born in Hong Kong, raised in America. I was actually born
Okay.
with a British
Oh,
passport because
I don't know if I knew that.
yeah,
Thought-
I was a while back before the hand. I was actually born with a British
We're
passport
hashtag
because I was
ageless.
born in
So
I won't
you
date
had
it, but
paperwork
a while back
then
before
to
the
be-
handover. Yeah, so
We're
I came
hashtag
here,
ageless.
when I was in kindergarten.
So you had
we
paperwork
had to
then
flee
to
Hong
be
Kong and China. Yeah, so I came here when I was in kindergarten because we had to flee Hong Kong and China due to all the issues of what was happening there politically. And then my father ingeniously got my mother and his children, and now 5 children, incredible story, all the way here. Came from at a very young age. My parents were married, and incredible story that they came from a rice farmer, my grandmother, to multi-generational wealth now. And that's all because of my father's and mother's persistence, the people they had helping them along the way, all the people that rose with them within the 50 to now 80 years of their lifetime and lifespan. So again, the journey has been ups and downs.
Yeah,
But
that's
you know,
fascinating. I've never met anyone.
I do learn from every down, so we'll get back up.
You know, was
Yeah,
part
that's
of
fascinating.
the
I've never met
Hong
anyone
conflict fleeing.
Yeah.
who
Can I share that
has
you're actually
was
on that
part of
picture?
that
Can you
Hong
share that,
Kong
or you're not
conflict
allowed?
Sure.
fleeing.
Well, I
Yeah.
can
And
talk
can
about
I
in
share that you're actually on
2019,
that picture?
obviously the
Can you share that, or
more
you're not
recent-
allowed?
Oh,
to?
sure. Well, I can talk about it in 2019. Obviously, the October 1st, more recent current protests in Hong Kong, China, where Hong Kong, the first day, October 1st, people know this is nationally. This is the same as the 4th of July in the U.S., where Hong Kong and China and the rest of Taiwan, Macau, and all the regions that China just have sovereignty over. We can argue about that another time, but the other, not to open another Pandora's box, but one country, two systems. After the handover in 1997, there was a promise of semi-autonomy, which is one country, two systems, and that was never recognized. It was in the legislation by people like Martin now, and because of what has happened, Article National Security Laws 23, very similar to what happened in the U.S. 9/11 post. The Homeland Security. This is the equivalent of the government cracking down whatever they want to do. I was photographed by Associated Press. It became the World Press 2020 World Journalist Award winner. And I was in the Wall Street Journal, CNN, BBC China, New York Times, LA Times. Every publication picked up on the photo because of my anger, fever, authenticity, the genuine, not understanding the David and Goliath story, where we are just 8 million people and we're trying to fight a 1.4 billion person empire, similar to a dictatorship. We don't have right to vote in China. Hong Kong continues not to have the right to vote democracy. Obviously, neither does Taiwan and Macau and anyone in China. It's just people pulling up their people without us having say, and that's why. And it's so fortunate that we have dual citizenship. And I know suffrage is you get to vote. The 19th Amendment allows women to vote and continues to do that. And I know suffrage is important. I vote. I care. I use it. And that voice of all those previous women that allowed us women to have that opportunity.
If you've just tuned in and you're wondering what's
every
going
single
on
election
in the
that I
studio
can.
today, this is
That's
Take my advice.
great.
I'm not using a gift
If
balance
you've
with
just
Dr.
tuned in and you're
Marissa.
wondering
That
what's
morning show
going
here
on in the studio
KCAA
today,
and
this
BBC
is
Radio,
Take
AM
My
1050
Advice. I'm not
FM
using a gift balance with
107.5,
Dr. Marissa.
and
That morning
streaming
show here
everywhere.
on
It's the station that
KCAA,
leaves no
NBC
listener
News
behind,
Radio, AM
celebrating
1050, FM
25 years number
106.5,
one talk in
and
the
streaming
IE
everywhere. It's the
on the
station
number
that
one
leaves no
top
listener
morning
behind,
show.
celebrating
And I'm delighted to
25 years
have
number
your
one
new
talk in the
co-host for
IE
Fridays,
on
and
the
the
number
series
one
is
top
called
morning show.
The Weekly
And I'm delighted to have your new
with
co-host
Dr.
for
Marissa
Fridays,
Pei,
and the series is
Asian Oprah,
called
and
The
Weekly
yes,
Review.
and she's got me
with
saying my
Dr.
last name
Marissa
because it's
Pei,
like, why aren't you
Asian
saying your
Oprah,
last
and
name? Because
Ms. Angel
Pei,
Manchan, thank you.
yes, and
T-E-I,
she's
is
got me saying
actually
my
a
last
very
name
well-known
because
name.
she's like, why aren't you saying your last
Don't
name?
know if
Because
I've even talked
Pei,
about this in all
P-E-I,
of my
is actually a
1,100
very
and
well-known
something.
name.
I may have
Of
one
course.
time. I know you're
Don't know
like
if
rolling
I've
your
even
eyeballs.
talked
Yes.
about this
My
in all of my
father's
1,100 and
cousin
something. I
is
may
the
have
very
one time. I
famous,
know you're like
beloved,
rolling your
highly
eyeballs.
Yes.
decorated
My
architect,
father's
and his
cousin
name is
is the
I.M.
very famous,
Pei
beloved,
Yu-ming,
highly
Pei
decorated
Yu-ming, and
architect.
I speak
And
Mandarin.
his name is
Angel
I
speaks
M
Cantonese
K. It's
because
Yes.
she's Hong Kong
Yu-ming,
and
Bei
that's the number
Yu-ming.
one language
And I
there.
speak Mandarin.
How do you
Angel
say Bei
speaks
Yu-ming in
Cantonese
Cantonese?
because she's
Well,
Hong Kong, and
have to
yes,
admit,
that's the number one
just
language
so
there.
just to
How do you
backtrack
say
a little
Bei
bit, I do
Yu-ming
have
in
a
Cantonese?
very
Well,
big
I
fandom
I
of
have to
your
admit,
family, and this is the
just
reason
so
why.
I do just to backtrack a
Growing
little bit,
up
I do have a
in LA,
very
Beverly
big
Hills, I
fandom
was
of
a
your
graphic
family,
designer.
and this is the
I
reason why.
actually was fortunate enough
Growing
to
up
win 2 graphic
in
design
LA,
awards
Beverly
from the city of
Hills, I
Beverly
was a
Hills and
graphic
was presented
designer.
by
I
the then
actually
mayor.
was fortunate enough to
It was an
win 2
honor because I
graphic
was
design
able to
awards from
learn
the
that
city of
from
Beverly Hills
very,
and was
very
presented
special
by the
graphic
then mayor.
design people.
It was an
And the
honor
people
because
who
I was
designed,
able to
for
learn
example,
that from
Alfred
very,
Hitchcock's
very
Psycho
special graphic design
were
people,
people's
and
son
the
that
people
went to my
who
high school.
designed, for
So
example,
I went
Alfred
to the
Hitchcock's
house
Psycho
and I was like an
graphics
AT&T logo
were
in
people's
handwritten, and I'm
son
like,
that went to my high
what does
school.
your father
So
do
I
and your
went to
mother?
the
They're like,
house
oh, they
and
design
I
graphics
was like
like
an
logos,
AT&T logo
but
in
literally the top
handwritten, and I'm
50
like,
logos in all the
what
world.
does your father
So
do
for
and your
me to
mother? They're like,
understand that
oh,
you
they
are
design
this
graphics
family,
like logos,
literally one of
but
the most
literally the
famous
top
Chinese
50
families
logos in all the
in
world.
history.
So for me to
Having built,
understand that you
for
are this
example, the
family,
Louvre in Paris,
literally
you
one of
know,
the most famous
the Bank of
Chinese
China
families
building in China,
in
and not
history,
only mentioning,
having
your
built,
family's history with
for
Bank of
example,
China,
the Louvre in
full
Paris,
circle, I was
you know,
executive director
the
of Bank
Bank
of
of China
China in
building
China
in
for,
China, and not only
Bank of
mentioning,
China,
your
and
family's
working
history
in
with
that
Bank of
building
China,
and loving that
full
building,
circle,
having
I was
everybody
the executive
respecting that
director of
building,
Bank of China in
and the
China
Goldman
for,
Sachs building on
Bank
Wall
of
Street,
China,
which where I
and
started,
working in that
very
building
like
and loving that
connected in
building
so
and
many
everybody
ways. And I was like,
respecting that
please,
building,
please, please, please,
and
please,
the
just let
Goldman
me talk to
Sachs
her.
building on Wall Street, which where I started, very like connected in so many ways. And I was like,
so
please,
funny.
please, 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 just let me talk to her.
It's I don't know why I don't that's
him more.
so funny, and
I am
and
so
it's
proud
and it's
to be in
I don't know
his,
why I
family
don't
in the lineage.
talk about him more.
One of the
I
most
am so
honorable
proud to
things
be
is
in
his
his
interviews will talk about
family in the
where
lineage.
he
The
initially
one of the
got
most
some of his
honorable things
inspiration,
is
and
his
he will
interviews
list
will
my
talk about
father's family
where
home
he
as the
initially
place
got
that
some
he
of his
got a lot of
inspiration, and
as
he
a
will
young
list
person.
my
He would
father's
spend
family
his
home
summers
as the place that he got a lot of inspiration as a young person. He would spend his summers in the Siziling Lion Forest Garden in Suzhou, which is right outside of Shanghai. And so last time I went to visit, the plaque on the wall says,
this property,
the Pei family kindly donated this property to the Chinese government, which is really not true. It was taken along with 61 deeds of property from my family. And it's actually I am's grandfather and my father's grandfather who are cousins. Who are brothers, and their side went into banking, and my side went into
I don't know how much of it is true, but it's a
import export
story.
and made a lot of money in the war. I don't know how much of it is true, but it's a fantastic story. Apparently, the dye that makes that funny green color in the war for camouflage, you need that dye color to have more produced, and the factory making it had loaded my great grandfather's ship with the dye. As soon as it left the harbor, the manufacturing facility was bombed. So he had the only tanker of that dye that you need to make more of that dye.
Wow.
So that is the story behind the wealth of the Pei family, which led them to, my dad would tell me stories when they were young that there's 6 boys, and boys are highly regarded, girls not so much in China. That's their culture. Don't judge. It just is that way. Now it's not. Well, we hope. We're working on it. But apparently, because before the communists came, the sons dressed up as girls because there were warlords that would kidnap and hold for ransom the sons of very wealthy families. So my dad, he was younger, so he didn't have to, but his oldest 3 brothers had to wear women's clothing to get to school. Isn't that crazy?
I'll be going there.
Oh my
again.
goodness.
So, but if you have a chance to go to China, go to Lion Forest Garden. That's my family home.
Yeah,
I'll be going there again
But
when I go
anyways,
in June on book tour. But
yeah,
so I don't think you knew that story.
No,
But anyways, this is supposed to be about you. So you love the Pei family. You wanted to connect on that end, and then tell us about what your vision is for this particular show, and kind of like your own journey, right? You went through a lot of loss, really, with your daughter. I do want to hear about your daughter. What happened, if you're okay with talking about it.
My second son had come. Well, it was I had my oldest son, and my second son had come, and my third was my daughter. However, in that week when I was first carrying for the first 3 months, that same week. So she was 2 weeks, so she didn't take. Obviously, so I found out I was pregnant, and I lost her in that same week. So it was just devastating. And obviously, I thought it was achievable, which is very simple. When I was 10, my personal goal was to have 3 children. That was it. It was very simple. I thought it was achievable. And when she was gone, I was really just numb. Fourth child process. So fortunate. I basically fought tooth and nail for the 4th child, and so fortunate that my 3rd son was born. And I had my children very late. And I was just tried and tried and tried. And it's very difficult. People don't talk about that either. Difficult to get pregnant. The statistics for miscarriages are very high. People want to bring back. People don't talk about that either because they think so process them. and to maybe honor the people. And it brings, people don't want to bring back memories which are painful. It helps. But I think to process them and to maybe honor the people who are not in your lives anymore. And she had a great life. It helps. Like I honor my father who died of cancer at 62. I honor my grandma who died at 99.
Absolutely.
And she's had a great life. And I, at my age would like to have the same thing.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
silver lining at the end. I like to speak. I have this show, the weekly review, on a daily basis, to have people who do not have a platform to speak. I meet people all the time, 3 kids, on a daily basis, whether, and I've met them. It's a person who's working 2 jobs, a single mom, 3 kids, trying to make it, and I've met them. They work at a barista in the morning, and then they work at a store retail at night. It's difficult. I've done that myself. That's no longer necessary. And you get to a point where you're lucky and fortunate to get to a place where that's no longer necessary. But it takes a lot of work and a lot of mentors and people to help you to make all the successes in your life. Or I would say your 3 wishes in life. I always ask people, what do you wish for? And they're like, oh, I wish for, I want to be heard, I want to help, or I want to make $1 million, or whatever those goals are. Like, get the people around you to get those goals. It's like 1, 2, 3, and then try to achieve. They never thought that's the next step. Like, but this platform, getting people to the places where they can be, and they never thought somebody could help them. But this platform can be that, and because it's recorded live and continued, and people can see, your 1,140 shows can be 11,400 shows, or 1 million. It will just continue, because that's one of your legacies, Dr. Marissa. Your legacy of being a great person, who's a mentor, who's very positive. I have to be honest, I'm not that positive. People who know me know this, and I tell it like it is. I have a very Gordon Ramsay approach, who I actually had an opportunity to meet. He calls people idiot sandwiches because they are, and I unfortunately I do.
Yeah, a little bit of tough love from the co-host here.
If you're unapplied, please apply
But
yourself.
we're also bringing a little bit of tough love from the co-host here. But we're also bringing talk about your team. It's not just going to be the 2 of us. She has connections out the wazoo. This woman does. So that's the other wonderful thing. She actually is a good media rememberer, whereas y'all know I'm horrible with names and recognition. But I brought someone now who actually knows who people are. Yeah, if you just tuned in, this is KCAA, NBC News Radio, AM 1050, FM 106.5, and streaming everywhere. It's the station that leaves no listener behind, 25 years strong. And this is Take My Advice, I'm Not Using It. Get Balanced with Dr. Marissa, the morning show, and my very newest series called
The Weekly
So you'll be hearing more and more about that. Tell us about Dr. Marissa Pay and your music man.
Thank you.
Right. So you'll be hearing more and more about that. Tell us about your music man.
Right. So I do want to introduce Mr. Ricky Rebel. I had an opportunity to meet him at the Peter Museum, which was sponsored by Toyota and Coca-Cola, a number of large sponsors, to promote the electric revolution. Of those hydrogen cars for Toyota, also worked on with Honda. I was able to meet some of the senior representatives of those 2 institutions and have done transactions with them when in banking, $100 million deals, etc. Michael Jackson. Now, the next beautiful part, number 2, he is a Grammy voter, was signed by Michael Jackson's label. Number 2, Madonna's label. Number 3, toured live with Britney Spears. Ever heard of these people? Everyone has. They're the icons, king of pop. queen of pop, and also everybody respects their continuous music. Even Michael Jackson makes money now through a hologram. Charging $900 a ticket, at minimum in New York City and LA. Michael Jackson continues to be an inspiration to a lot of musicians, dancing, singing. His entertainment family, iconic. Madonna, same, still tours, just toured in LA. But the next insane. And also, Britney does, have all her shows and all her accolades now. But the next value add that we are able to provide is that he is and has 2 top 40 Billboard chart hits, and he is able to provide original music for the show and a view on EGOT, which is Emmy, Grammy, Oscar, Tony, obviously Pulitzer, and Golden Globes, as well as he has a very fashion forward stylist, and he understands
and he's going to be here
and
next
is well
Friday.
versed in entertainment. I thought I would build and he adds a lot of value in the space.
One by one, and he's going to be here next Friday. I thought I would build the team one by one every week, and the fourth member of the team is.
Okay, so we do have a fourth member who is an executive producer or sole producer. He's been in the business also quite a number of years. He knows quite a lot of heavy hitters. Like he produced, for example, Madonna's True Blue video. And he knows people like Carrie Fisher's family, obviously Debbie Reynolds, Eddie Fisher's daughter, and son, Todd Fisher. And we have an opportunity, again, full circle, to go back to NAB, in which Todd Fisher may hopefully will be there and exhibit his entire mother's family costume at his home in Las Vegas, as well as Carrie Fisher's, and maybe donate to one of our charities. So that's a very generous offer from people who are able to make it, and people who respect the Hollywood history and the icon and the production of everything from singing in the Rain, Debbie Reynolds, to her star, to Carrie Fisher's star, and that continue Eddie. And, these are just amazing stories that are in the Hollywood popular realm that continue to have residency and continue to be in points of inspiration for new art and storytelling and new artists and new people.
Another piece that I thought was really interesting and going to be showcase their talent in storytelling is I do have a lot of another piece that I thought was really interesting and going to be helpful because I'm all about solution is I do have a lot of people. How do I break into Hollywood? How do I become a successful artist, musician, actor, and so forth? And Angel was talking about where and it's not easy to maneuver around and to know what's going on where and who's helping who and who's not helping who. So one of the things one of the goals around Hollywood review is also to talk about all the places and things and events that are going on around Hollywood, around Southern California that are helpful. And she sent me one and there was like I thought I had a lot of publicists reaching out to me. I mean, it just went on and on and on, and there was like scrolling 4 or 5 different events every single day for a week. It was just scrolling and scrolling and scrolling. Right? So weekly review is also a weekly preview of things to come, right? A review and a preview, of things to come. Oh, I like that. Of things to come for the people who want to be part of that. So it's going to be full of and. No Kardashian talk. For any of you who are saying, but you say no K words, just donated $2 million to my no Kardashian talk. Now I only say no Kanye talk because Kim Kardashian's just donated $2 million to my satellite sister girlfriend's a nonprofit. So we like Kim Kardashian. But the point of, I want to also, Angel's providing some balance
I am pretty strong in my, I don't invite people who just because they're on the screen or just because they're a great actor. I want to highlight people like Fran Drescher, who doesn't come to talk about the nanny. She comes to talk about how to reduce the risk of cancer. And Charlotte Ray, who is on the other side now. And that was such a beautiful moment when she and Fran met on my show and discovered that they were fans of each other. So I want to highlight the positive side of Hollywood without talking about the who's divorcing who cheated on who. That I'm not interested in that. So just so y'all are clear, I'm not going out of my wheelhouse on this, but I'm balancing out with the good that does happen in Hollywood. And we have to, the reality is we are in the center of an industry that is very influential. And I don't want to, sort of sweep that part under the carpet anymore and not address it. So that's also one of the things around Friday.
Yes. One of the things that I always say to people is that I do not tout half full, half empty. I say there's just water in the cup. On facts. So what you do with those facts, I have always based everything that my knowledge on facts versus fiction. I always tell people, cite your source, and where's those sources come from? Because fake news is real, AI is real, it is, deep fakes are real, and that's something as a computer science engineer, I know how to program. I program, and I understand. You just dangerous. It's very a lot of simple code does make
and I'm going to have to cut you off
one way or the other.
Thought we had more time.
It's dangerous. It's very Terminator-ish.
Start
it does
early and I'm going to have to cut you off because I thought we had more time, but we didn't start early enough. But I'm getting the signal that we literally have less than a minute. I just wanted to say I'm so happy that we could sort of do the pre-paving for the show and that you are my new co-host on Fridays. I hope you've enjoyed meeting her as much as I have, learning new things about you as well. This is how I sign out at the end of every show. It's all about balance, peace in, peace out. World peace through inner peace. Yeah. And we'll see you. And now, y'all go and have the best weekend ever. And we'll see you on Monday.
Thank you.
Thanks, Angel.